Is that Selena Gomez?
Yes.
Would you be dating her at some point in time?
What's the relevance of that? Why are you asking that question?
Okay, because I'm allowed to ask.
No, you're not allowed to just make up stuff
Absolutely.
and ask it.
So that's a little snippet from a 2014 deposition of Justin Bieber. I wanted to explain to everybody what a deposition is, how to do well in a deposition, how you can maybe screw up and do poorly in a deposition. And I figured by going through some examples, we can better understand all of that. My name is Sina Rezvanpour. I am a personal injury and lemon law attorney here in Southern California. To understand what a deposition is, we should figure out where it falls into the legal landscape. So a deposition is part of the litigation process. More specifically, it's part of the discovery phase of the litigation process. And litigation is just a fancy word for a lawsuit. So discovery is where the parties find out more about what the other side thinks happened or the circumstances leading up to the case. But really what a deposition is, it's like a in-person interview about a case. You have depositions of the parties that are involved in the case. You can have witnesses that know something about the circumstances of the case, or it can be an expert witness. So that's someone that has actual special training that can give their opinion about something related to the case. Justin is probably a defendant in this case. I did a little bit of research, so I could be wrong, but it looks like this has to do with one of his security officers roughing up a paparazzi photographer, and it seems like the photographer ends up suing Justin and his security officer. Now let's go through, this is about a 6.5 minute highlight video, highlight or low light video, and we'll just go through, I'll stop, I'll pause, I'll give you my insight on what's going on, what the rules are, what's going on behind the scenes, and maybe we could learn a little something in the process.
Remember earlier today when I asked you?
No.
Why don't you listen to what I have to say first?
Okay, we'll stop it right there. This is one of the very basic fundamental rules of a deposition is you try not to interrupt each other. And that's because there is a court reporter that is sitting down, typing up everything that all of the parties are saying. And if one party is speaking over another, then it makes it very hard for the court reporter to write down two things at once. So usually in the beginning of a deposition, we say as a courtesy, we ask you to allow us to finish asking a question before you start to answer. And as a courtesy, we'll return that favor and allow you to finish answering before we ask our next question.
And then maybe you'll tell me yes or no.
I don't have to listen to anything you have to say.
Clarify my question. If you have a question about my question,
Today is
you
not
have
for
the
you
right to be
speak
clear for you to be able to be
Mr.
clear.
DeCalvo.
You remember being in Australia ever?
I don't know if I've been to Australia. I've been to Australia?
Okay, so I think it's no secret that Justin's being difficult in this deposition, which is probably not uncommon for a celebrity. They probably think that these charges are bogus, and he's probably just trying to be a brat and piss off the attorney. We'll see whether that's an effective strategy or whether it may backfire.
Are you aware that Scooter Braun knows that your bodyguards have attacked photographers?
What objection to form? What kind of question is that? That didn't make sense.
That's correct. But
Doesn't make sense. That's a weird question. That doesn't make sense.
Can you just ask?
Okay, he is doing something right here, and he's doing a couple things right. First, he is waiting. He listens to the question, he pauses, and that gives his attorney time to state an objection if he thinks that it's warranted. In this particular situation, he does think that it's warranted. My guess would be that that would be a compound question, lacks foundation, and he's objecting to the form of the question. And Justin's doing a second thing right here, which is if you do not understand the question that's being asked of you, you should not attempt to answer it. You should ask for clarification. So if you answer a question, it's going to be presumed that you understood what they were asking. So you can't come back later and say, oh, no, I didn't understand.
Is it true that you know that your security guards will punch, grab, and push Biebz if they need to?
I object.
Okay. Objections are supposed to be made by attorneys only. And if you have an issue with the question, you should probably look towards your attorney implying that they should then jump in and give an objection. So your attorney may state 20 objections. As long as they're not objecting on privilege, you still have to answer the question that's being asked of you.
Please look at the film that's up there. Good, sir.
This is a film?
Please, sir.
This is a film?
Pause it. Would you please watch the television?
You said it's a film. You said watch the film. Is this a film?
Is there...
Okay. For some reason, Justin seems to be taking issue with the plaintiff's attorney referring to the video that's playing on the television as a film. What's really happening here is there's a little bit of a pissing contest. Justin is trying to establish some sort of dominance in the situation, which can definitely happen in a deposition, and it definitely can happen in a case, because it's not just about what events took place. It's also about the legal arguments that are being made around it and the confidence that each side has in their case. And things like that will affect the posturing that goes into settlement. You know, if one side feels extremely confident in their case, they probably are not going to accept a settlement offer that's anything less than what they really want. The danger in that is that at some point later in this case, if this case ever were to go to trial, excerpts of this deposition could be played in front of a jury. And my guess is that a jury would not look favorably upon Justin. It would look like he's trying to be difficult. It probably looks like he's spoiled, entitled. And the plaintiff's attorney may be loving this. He may be playing this up. He may be slightly jabbing at Justin to continue to get this reaction. So Justin may be totally playing into his hand.
Have you ever disciplined Mr. Hesney?
Disciplined? What kind of question is that? Is he my son? Guess what? Guess what?
I don't recall.
Okay, let's back this
Question
up a
is
little bit.
that disciplined?
Have you ever disciplined Mr. Hesney?
Okay, this is a yes or no question. The best advice I can give in a deposition is to give the shortest possible answer to every question that you can. So if it's a yes or no question, your answer should either be yes, no, or I don't remember, or I don't know. And here, Justin could just simply say no. But instead, he's asking a rhetorical question. He is just keeping himself there longer than he needs to be. If he was really looking out for his best interest, he would be emotionally numb in this process, and he would be giving short, concise answers.
Disciplined? What kind of question is that? Is he my son? Guess what? Guess what?
I don't recall.
Okay. So if you actually don't remember the answer, or if you're asked a question, you don't remember what the answer was, you should say that you don't remember. You can say you don't recall. I always have a thing against saying I don't recall, just because it could sound, depending on the person that's saying it, it can sound out of place. It could sound like they are being dishonest. The fact that Justin is really playing it up is not really helping himself.
Am I going on the video record or does it
You know Sina Gomez?
Yes.
We'd be dating her at some point in time?
What's the relevance of that? Why are you asking that question?
Because I'm allowed to ask.
No, you're not allowed to just make up stuff
Absolutely.
and ask it. What are you talking about?
Sounds like you're trying to harass him.
Be a lawyer, man.
Stop making
Journalism. This isn't journalism.
What is the relevance? What's your pro
Have
offer?
you ever...
What's your
If you have an objection, state your objection.
What's your pro offer of relevance on?
Okay, this attorney keeps saying, what's your pro offer? The word is proffer. So he's asking, how is this relevant? Like, how are you going to tie the fact that Justin is or isn't or ever dated Selena Gomez to this case? We don't really know where this is going to go, so let's continue.
Sir, have you ever talked with Selena Gomez and discussed your feelings about paparazzi with her?
Okay, so the attorney is now tying Selena Gomez back into something relevant here. It seems like he's touched on a soft spot, so I would assume that he's going to keep poking at this to get some more reaction out of Justin.
Don't ask me about her again.
Sir,
Move on to another.
have you ever,
Don't ask me about her
have you
again.
ever
Don't ask
discussed,
me about her again.
have you ever?
Don't ask me about her again.
Don't
Don't ask me about her again.
You know what? Just stop. We gotta take a break.
Don't ask me about her again.
The client's not asking for a
Don't ask me.
This was a perfect time to take a break. And in a deposition, you really can't take a break at any point. If there's a pending question, you're supposed to answer the question before you go on break, but I think the attorneys probably did the right thing. They saw that their client he's getting pretty upset here. So they take a break, probably come back in 5 minutes, regroup, try to probably tell him stay on track with your answers, and also give a chance for the attorney on the other side to just move on with his questions.
Let's take a break, Justin.
302.
Did you say something funny?
You don't need to argue with the witness. Do you want to state your question again?
Is there anything funny in my question as to why you were laughing?
What is your question? Should we have it read back?
So here you can just tell by the tone and the voice of the attorney asking the questions that he's a little bit fed up with what's going on, which is probably good for Justin. You could see that he kind of now leans back in his chair. He's enjoying this. It's better if you're going to have this little mental warfare to make it subtle. You want to be composed throughout this process.
Well, I don't know, Katie Couric, you tell me.
Are you calling me Katie Couric?
No.
Is this a news interview for you? It's not. It's your deposition. Do you understand that?
Yes. But I see what you're doing.
Have you ever spoken with Scooter Braun regarding photographers who want to take a picture of us?
Asked and answered several times.
That one was our answer.
That was definitely asked before that question. It was a
What was your answer? Please remind me of your answer.
So if a question has been asked earlier and it's already been answered, you're not supposed to come back and just ask the same question again. That could be seen as looking to harass the witness. So Justin decides to take a perfectly timed nap right now.
No. It seems like a 16-minute interview.
You get career.
I think he said 16 minute. Let's see.
It seems like a 16-minute interview.
You get career. Do you know Raymond Usher the Fourth?
No.
Do you know an individual entertainer by the name of Usher?
Yeah, sure. That sounds familiar.
Isn't it true that Usher was instrumental in starting your career?
What does that have to do with this litigation, Mr. DeKalb? This is just you trying to harass the client.
Before we came back here, you had asked me.
She's going to read
Let her read back the question. Thank you for your memory.
So, like I mentioned before, the court reporter is typing down all the questions, all the answers, all the objections that are being said. So sometimes if it's unclear on what a question was before, we'll ask the court reporter to roll it back, see what the question was, read it back, and we can pick up from there.
I was found on YouTube. I think that I was detrimental to my own career.
Okay, hold on. He says that he thinks he was detrimental to his own career. Now let's listen as his attorney changes his answer.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you at all. I'm sitting right next to you. Okay?
So that I think I was instrumental to my own career.
His attorney changes it to instrumental. Probably what Justin actually meant. So in general, you want to avoid getting too emotionally involved in a deposition. Now, obviously, if you're a party in the case, that's going to be harder to do. But if you start getting very defensive, you start antagonizing the attorney, you really have to stop and question if that's what they want you to do, if that's the reaction that they want to get from you, and start painting a different picture of who you are. Because this thing is recorded, not just only being typed up, but it's also being video recorded, and parts of it can be shown at trial, and you can't just erase that. And someone's going to then judge you based on your behavior when there's only 3 or 4 people in the room in the deposition. But when you go to trial, things become very real. So I would suggest keeping your answers short and sweet, avoiding getting into some sort of mental warfare with the attorney that's asking you the questions. Rely on your attorney to object when needed. And definitely take breaks when you feel like things are starting to get pretty emotional. We will continue to break down more videos. I saw so many. There's Tupac, there's Lil Wayne, there are a bunch of other celebrities or interesting cases that have deposition footage online. So I'm going to continue to break these down, and hopefully through a series of these, you can learn a little bit more about what to expect in a deposition, how to do great, and how to avoid making some of the mistakes that we go over. I'm Sina Rezvanpour, and this is Not Legal Advice.